Well, early this week, Mr. Bush met with Israeli and Palestinian leaders, pushing for an agreement, a peace agreement, by the end of his term. And that gives him just a year to get two historic foes to compromise. For an interesting take on the peace process, we bring in Daniel Lubetzky. He's joining us live from Jerusalem. He is the founder of a group that tries to voice the ideas of moderates in the Middle East. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. So tell us, how do you do this? How do you give moderates a voice in the Middle East?
Well, for the last 5-6 years, we've been building a movement that now has over 600,000 signatories, Israeli, Palestinian, and international supporters that have signed on to a mandate that demands basically what the president and the Israeli and Palestinian head of states just committed to do, an agreement within a year. And we have town hall meetings, we have a leadership program where over 3,000 young Palestinians and Israelis separately have basically gotten their communities involved to try to build a human infrastructure of citizens that have had enough and that want to, from the grassroots level, support the efforts of their leaders.
Do you think that this is doable? So many other presidents have invested even more time and attention and have failed at this.
I hear a lot of cynicism on the streets in Israel and in Palestine. I think people are very skeptical, and there's reason to believe that it's a long shot, but it's a shot. It's the first time in 7 years that the leaders are sitting down in a continued, uninterrupted process. It's the first time in 15 years that the Arab countries are on the table with the Arab Peace Initiative. It's the first time in history that the Israeli and Palestinian head of states have committed to an agreement within a year, and that the President of the United States is committing to achieve that too. So it's the best shot we've had. This window of opportunity is not going to be there forever. So citizens need to sign on and do the part to try to support.
But how can that be done with Hamas controlling Gaza and not being invited at the table? How can that happen? Do you have people, moderates, you're working with in Gaza? What's the feeling there towards President Bush's visit?
We actually do have an office in Gaza, in Ramallah. We have an office in Tel Aviv, and we have chapters in all the universities and all over. And there's a lot of despair, there's a lot of skepticism, there's a lot of worry. But I think that if you show progress in the path towards ending the conflict, and if the Palestinian people and the Israeli people can tangibly see this happen, if an agreement comes, then there is a possibility that you're going to be able to start implementing it in Israel and in the West Bank, and eventually use that as a juxtaposition to encourage Hamas to accept the will of the Palestinian people, which consistently, even when they voted them, support a two-state solution. And if you don't have that, then Hamas will lose support, will be dislodged either through elections or through force, but with the support of the Palestinian people. Alternatively, if there is no such progress, the opposite will happen, and President Abbas will be weakened. So a lot is riding on this year, and it is true that there's a lot of challenges.
In our remaining moments, you are working to give moderate voices a better chance. Why aren't moderate voices being heard compared to extreme voices?
It's a deep question, but I think part of it is in the nature of citizens that are moderate, that they tend to just sit passively by watching TV and not taking action. Even the simplest action, like joining us at 1millionvoices.org and signing up, is just a step that it takes. And by comparison, extremists or people that have an absolutist vision are very passionate about their vision, and they will stop at nothing. And so unless the overwhelming majority of moderates that want an end to this conflict do something to bring this about, those that oppose that vision, even if they're a minority, are going to be very vocal, and they provide a very compelling vision with actions that sometimes include violence on either side that the media will pay attention to. So it behooves us as citizens to do our part and to stop complaining. I've heard so many people express skepticism about President Bush's visit, and at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? Are you only going to complain, or are you going to stand up and help out the leaders who are taking a courageous step now? The time has come for us to push so that it gets done with grassroots support. The people are the missing ingredient in this that has been missing for too long.
Daniel Lubetzky, thank you so much for your thoughts.